Now available for the first time in paperback. Stop Simping in the Workplace. Men, learn what you need to know in order to protect your job from workplace predators with Stop Simping in the Workplace. Available in paperback at online booksellers everywhere. Former Vergne County police officer Maegan Hall is filing a civil lawsuit alleging that she was sexually groomed by several police officers and supervisors in the Vergne County Police Department. Now, according to reports, Vergne Hall alleges that the police officers and supervisors were predators who were looking to sexually groom her so that she could wind up being entrapped in a series of degrading and abusive sexual relationships, and even share tips on the best ways to manipulate and exploit her. Now, Vergne Hall is the female police officer who was fired after being revealed to be the center of a sex scandal, which she had multiple sexual relationships with multiple Vergne County police officers. And after it was revealed that she had had numerous inappropriate sexual relations on police property, she and several other officers were terminated from their positions, and several others were put under investigation. Now, I believe former Officer Maegan Hall is looking to revise history now that the sex scandal has cost her her job and her professional reputation. And now that she has lost her job as a Vergne County police officer and has had her personal reputation tarnished and her social reputation ruined as related to white men, what Officer Maegan Hall wants to do is she wants to rewrite history to make many of the individuals in the sex scandal she was involved with to be the villains of the story. And in this revised story, what former Officer Maegan Hall wants to do is say that the supervisors and the chief entrapped her in degrading and abusive sexual relationships and shared tips on the best ways to exploit and manipulate her. This is the narrative that she's writing right now as related to the series of promiscuous sexual encounters that she had with many of these officers who were black. And what I believe she wants to do is try to make a racial angle in order to try to turn those black officers into sexual predators. What Maegan Hall, I believe, is trying to do is trying to, again, make the black man into the boogeyman so that she can have an opportunity to try to win a civil lawsuit against Vergne County as related to the so-called sexual predation of the black male police officers, and is hoping to get a payday at the expense of Vergne County, similar to that many of the women in the Me Too movement tried as at the height of the Me Too movement. Because during the height of the Me Too movement, many women went out here making allegations against men in the workplace, and as they made allegations against men in the workplace, many companies scrambled to terminate that man without giving him any sort of due process, and scrambled even faster to give this woman an out-of-court settlement without ever challenging any of the allegations that these women made. And this is the same approach that I believe former police officer Maegan Hall is utilizing to try to get herself a payday at the expense of her former employer. Now, I believe that possibly former officer Maegan Hall may have a really weak case, and I believe she may possibly have a weak case because the defense of Vergne County, they can easily point to many of the text messages that were left on city property, like those police phones, and they can also point to much of the video left on police phones to show that the former officer Maegan Hall was not being exploited or taken advantage of by this group of so-called predators. What they can show in court in defense is show that this woman basically was actively involved as related to pursuing relationships with many of these other Laverne County police officers, because if there are text messages with her talking about the size of several of the black officers' penises and talking about her sexual fetish for black men, this basically could be used as a counter defense and could take down the entire argument that former officer Maegan Hall is making as related to sexual exploitation. Because if she's actively making statements about these men's genitalia and talking about how she actively wanted to get involved with these black men, this may possibly show that she was actively in her sexual fetish, and this reinforced with the whole talking point of her participating in sexual misconduct on the job, which basically violates federal sexual harassment laws. This could basically lead to her winding up with her case being dismissed, because under sexual harassment, this is not just about unwanted and unwarranted advances. This is also about creating a hostile environment, and I believe that was the grounds for the termination of the supervisors and possibly the chiefs who she worked with, because they were creating a hostile environment for the other male and female officers by using equipment like the gym for their sexual encounters and using police networks to transfer their sexually explicit pictures. I believe that this is a concrete block of evidence that would possibly lead to the case being dismissed and the city of Laverne County not being liable for anything, because Laverne County really wasn't liable for anything, because once people in the investigative affairs found out about this whole series of sexual encounters and had that trail of evidence, they did take action by terminating every officer almost and basically firing them from the police department. And they did not discriminate, because they fired male, female, black, and white officers as related to this sex scandal, and they fired all of these individuals for violating the federal sexual harassment laws under the terms of hostile environment. So when I look at this case, it looks like to me that Maegan Hall doesn't have a strong case as related to this lawsuit, but what she's possibly not looking to do is win the lawsuit. What she's looking to do is like many women in the Me Too movement were, looking for that quick cash settlement. And this whole case just shows me why men really need to go out here and read my book, Stop Simping in the Workplace. Because had these individuals read Stop Simping in the Workplace, they would have established a hard professional boundary between themselves and women like Maegan Hall. And even if those women were looking to make advances or request to have a interpersonal relationship outside of the job, they would have set a hard boundary, letting them know that you need to just keep everything professional, and you need to just make everything about work. Because in this era of Me Too, which is still going on, all it takes is one allegation from a woman, and you are going to be out of a job. And this is why a man has to go out here and set a hard boundary between himself and the women at his job, and declare all of the women at the job off limits. Because again, all it takes is just you looking at one of these women or saying the wrong thing, and these women will be running to the Human Resource Department, or in the case of this Laverne County Police Department, Internal Affairs. And what they're going to do is make an allegation that you did something, and that allegation can derail your life, and it can derail your professional career, the same way it did for the other 5 officers who lost their jobs, and the other 3 who are still currently under investigation. All of these men lost good paying jobs by getting involved with a sexually promiscuous former officer, and now all of those individuals are currently on the unemployment line or making plans to find another job. And again, all because these men didn't have any sort of discipline or self-control in the workplace. And this whole case is another textbook example of why a man doesn't crap where he eats, because it's going to make a mess of his life. Because this woman, now that they've had their casual sex with her, what she's looking to do is rewrite the story to make them into monsters. And in the case of these black male officers, she's looking to use the brute narrative to try to clean up her image, because what she knows is that now that she's gone black, the white guys don't want to come back to her. And now that the white guys don't want to come back to her, what she wants to do is try to make it look like the big black men tried to coerce her, into participating in this sex act, when she was shown in text messages to have been actively involved and interested in this sex act with these men. So this whole scandal shows me the importance of setting a hard boundary and why you don't get involved with women in the workplace. Because if you get involved with women in the workplace and things go south, what will happen is she will look to rewrite the story. And when she rewrites the story, she's looking to make you the bad guy. And when she makes you the bad guy, you could be the one out of a job, or you could be the one on your way to prison for a crime that didn't happen, all because this woman wants to try to preserve her image so that she can go out here and get with the next guy. But any smart guy understands there is no reason to get involved with women in the workplace, because there are 4 women for every 1 man. And if you want to go out here and get with women, you get with them off the job, because you have too much to lose in the workplace. When you get a good job, you want to keep making that good money. And a smart man does not get involved with women at his work, because if he gets involved with women at his work, there's a chance he may not be working for long. Now, if you want to learn how to avoid situations like this that Maegan Hall has gotten involved with these male police officers, you can pick up my book, Stop Simping in the Workplace. And in that book, I tell you why you shouldn't get involved with women in the workplace, how to identify female predators, and how to avoid female predators and set a course to get your career going to the next level. And if you want to see me make more videos about the workplace like this, you can donate to my Patreon, my PayPal, or my Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and Kindle, Stop Simping in Cyberspace. Learn how to avoid predatory females like Instagram models and e-girls in their virtual con games with Stop Simping in Cyberspace. Get your copy of Stop Simping in Cyberspace in paperback and Kindle today.